What's up, the squad? Back with another video. I seen the title's going down. Make sure y'all hit that like button, hit that subscribe button for me, please. Y'all see it in the title. So I told y'all plenty times that they will come out with more and more, when it comes down to Tim Walz and, Elon No More and the others, that are literally being so destructive, when it comes down to, in Minnesota. And it's just not in Minnesota either. There's other places I'm hearing about that they're trying to do this same thing, with really stealing money from the taxpayers. Honestly, and it's definitely pretty insane. You got whistleblowers out. It says Tim Walz is 100% responsible for massive fraud in Minnesota. Literally said that they begged them to literally stop, literally stop, and wouldn't. It says Walz allegedly gutted the legislative auditor's power so agencies could ignore fraud findings, appointed unqualified loyalists to run departments, and let billions vanish while threatening whistleblowers and families. Whistleblowers' families. So it's definitely insane. I feel like it's definitely deeper. Definitely deeper. You got it right here. This is from a post at RNC Research. It says Tim Walz knew Somali fraudsters were stealing money from taxpayers in Minnesota. Check it out.
I think what the president did was elevate it. I do believe, and I will fully own this, we should have been keeping Minnesotans more up to speed on what was happening. We should have been, I think, on a better cadence as you see things that were happening in 2022, as the tools that were given to the administration would get there. So again, after the fact, there was a lot of folks talk about this. I have 7 years of proving this. I just fixed these things. And should we have fixed MNLARS before it got there? Certainly. Certainly we shouldn't have gone through 10 years of trying to get a licensing system. But once we got there, once we figured it out, we fixed it. And I think.
And that's the thing that a lot of people, aren't getting when it comes down to it. You have to read people. And we all know. There's a lot of us that do know, and there's a lot of people that, are in the dark with it. I look at the simple fact that you literally have Tim Walz. They clearly say, I didn't know anything of this. No comment. They're saying things like this. And then they like, and the crazy thing is, I feel like they're smarter than this. They deny it at first, and then they go, just like Tim Walz is doing right now. It says, we should have kept, Minnesotans, more informed. Basically, we knew about what was happening. We just didn't want to speak on it and say that, and that really makes everything looks way more and more suspicious. And that's why, again, they're looking into Tim Walz and, Elon No More. I'm telling y'all. Right here, it says, Will Kane just exposed the web of, the left, Elon No More, Tim Walz, and AG Keith, linked to Somali fraud. Let's check it out.
Under the nose of Ilhan Omar, Tim Walz, Attorney General Keith Ellison. We see a web of connections between them and those directly involved in the fraud. For example, Ilhan Omar alleged enabling introducing the 2020 Meals Act, which was ultimately subject to fraud, held a campaign victory party at the Safari restaurant. That's where one of the men who run that restaurant has associations to the convicted individuals. And then there's Tim Walz. House Oversight Investigation role in his role as governor, or Keith Ellison, the Attorney General. His job is to enforce the law in Minnesota, but instead he's getting donations after meeting with the Feeding Our Future representatives. The Feeding Our Future, the biggest known yet part of this entire theft ring. The executive director of Black Lives Matter, by the way, over in Oklahoma City, has now been charged with wire fraud and money laundering. The organization raised more than $5 million in 2020, but she is accused of pocketing more than half of that instead of using it to bail out people for protesting in support of BLM. No, she pocketed, allegedly, most of that money. Oh, by the way, here she is. You want to see a picture of her? Here she is. Notice who she's in the picture with.
Ilhan Omar.
That's right. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. But hey, it's just the system, right? Let's bring it on.
It literally goes to show y'all, and this is what I love. Y'all remember I put out a video earlier this week, and I said, I know a lot of people want, this individual, in prison. I know y'all want this individual to not be in Congress. I know y'all not be in Congress. I know y'all want this individual. I understand all of that. But my main thing is, if you're going to get this person, get everybody that was in that, with them. And that's truly what they're doing right now. find it pretty crazy that now, they're charging, the Black Lives Matter leader with wire fraud. But then you got Ilhan Omar in there. So you're literally seeing everybody, it's all coming together. And I love the way, that more and more things are constantly coming out about it. What I did find, pretty insane, though, about this is that you have Somali refugee admits that was coached to grab welfare day one. Got here Section 8, food stamps, free healthcare. Literally just, like said, instant handouts, which is pretty insane. Check it out.
For having me. There are much deeper issues. I've moved into the U.S. And in Maine about 11 years ago, and basically the first question that members of my community asked me which tribe, I belong to, and when I mentioned, so I fell into that category. So there's a deeper tribal rivalry going on in the community, much larger than anybody can actually imagine. And then interestingly enough, even though I spoke very good English, one of the things that I was told to do is go find a discounted housing Section 8, which I didn't know what actually it was, and sign up for all the other community benefits within the government or the state. And my response was, I'm actually here to work and build, basic and become part of the American fabric, which is pretty much what I've been working on for a while.
I'm incredibly fascinated by what you're having to say, so much so that I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just want to clarify. So when you felt that pressure and you were told to go join, public welfare programs once you moved here, where was that pressure coming from? Are you saying it's like cultural, like neighborhood, like neighbors telling you this is what you should do? How were you pushed in that direction?
Well, it was coming from the community that actually thought that was just a way of life, right? Instead of being asked about what kind of school I want to go to,
and I feel like it's just one of those things like they're trained to do. You see what I'm saying? Like it's more so if okay, I first came here, make sure you tell everybody this is what they need to do. This is what they need to do. Get it together. And I'm sure they have some type of leader, within that. We're not talking about Tim Walz, Ilhan Omar, just somebody in that community. Okay, y'all here, you need to find this, get this together, and then everything is right there. This is basically handouts.
I would love to study, and those interesting conversations weren't there at all. And my response was, can we do better things? Can we as a community actually integrate? And let's listen to that word, interestingly, because that had got me a huge backlash. This is many years ago that many people thought, no, let's not talk about integration. And I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't ready for a pushback against this idea of sort of melting into America, becoming part of America. And let's just be very clear that I haven't arrived here as a young man. I mean, I came here at age 29, so I was well informed about my culture, my community, growing up in the civil war in Somalia.
Incredibly, you're telling me you not only were discouraged from integrating into America, but you were also encouraged to stick to your tribal allegiances from back in Somalia, and those tribal allegiances and divisions remain here in America. That stat I showed, I'm curious, about the percentage of the Somali population on some form of welfare, 80%, and stays that way over a 10-year period. Does that surprise you?
In some ways, it does not. Let me give you one example here. When I was in Somalia, a huge part of the population in Somalia, we're talking about 20 million people in Somalia, a huge number of that depended on $100 that family members in the U.S. sent back home. So there was not a lot of work to rebuild the country or get to work or, just basically building things. So this whole idea of receiving things the easy way has unfortunately actually evolved and became part of our way of life.
So basically, if more so of what I'm hearing too, from not only this video, from other videos as well, is that, I've mentioned it before when I say, something about the gang wars. Basically what they're trying to do, which we all know, but it's literally all out there. They're literally making it to like a Somalia. Like they're literally making Minnesota Somalia is what I'm hearing. when it comes to these different tribes, when it comes to these different, these different gangs that, and where are you going? I'm telling y'all, bro, this is insane to me. This right here is literally insane. It's literally insane. Not only that, this is probably going to make a lot of people frustrated. I'm not even going to lie, because when I first seen this for the first time, it threw me off. Legal aliens in Minnesota gets $7,000 in benefits from taxpayers. And I say this because I know some people, and I know a lot of people like, oh, 7,000 is a lot, and it is. I know some people, just, okay, we talking about 7,000. Bro, this is per person. Not a household, not all just a woman, not a kid. This is per person, $7,000. I was literally on the phone with Retro Steph, and I said, bro, now that I'm thinking about it, you can literally start a small business with about $2,000. Again, $7,000. And I know people are like, well, can't you start it too? If you get the supplies, people are doing it. People doing it with like $1,000. I know it seems crazy, bleed. You get some, especially with this, people be making, plates and making desserts and making this and that. I'm telling you, they got the supplies. It's a lot of time. Even with shirts, you can go buy a print press thing, and man, there's so many ways that they're doing, that they're making stuff. We talking about counterfeit, everything that you can do. You can buy supplies on making something fake. $7,000, y'all. I'm telling y'all, definitely insane. Let's check it out.
That's right. Illegal immigrants are given $7,000 per person in the form of Minnesota Care benefits here in Minnesota, paid for by Minnesota taxpayers. And what we're seeing, and what this cost is to us, is that with over 17,000 people who have already enrolled for this program here in Minnesota, in fiscal year 2025 alone, that is going to equate to at least $107 million in this fiscal year right now.
Wow.
The average American doesn't even make $7,000 a month, because that would put you at $84,000 a year. Do you make $84,000 a year? And you're trying to save money for Christmas gifts, for the new year, for your kids going back to school for next summer's vacation. And if you're an illegal immigrant in the state of Minnesota, you're given $7,000. All you have to do is go online, find a computer, and apply. And then we, the people, the taxpayers that were born here and that are here legally, foot the bill. We foot the bill for Ukraine. We foot the bill for Israel. We foot the bill for Somalia. We foot the bill for... I'm not even going to go to South America. And you guys are complaining about us taking out narc boats when they're bringing drugs to this country too, with illegal immigrants in the boat.
I'm telling people, they don't care about America. I mean, look what they're doing. They truly do not care about America, and people aren't understanding that. And it's literally making me mad that people don't understand that. I'm telling y'all. Check it out.
Report revealing how those accused Minnesota fraudsters spent the money meant for hungry kids. Court documents show confirmation and receipts for a private villa stay, lakefront property, wire transfers to China and East Africa, first-class plane tickets, a Porsche, and cash. One defendant reportedly texting, quote, "You're going to be the richest 25-year-old. Wow. Here to react, Fox and Friends weekend co-host Rachel Campos-Duffy, Charlie Hurt, and Griff Jenkins. It's good to see y'all, gang. I'll start with you, Charlie. This is egregious. We keep talking about affordability, but we had illegals stealing our money.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, what's crazy to me? What's crazy to me with all of this is that you literally have people praising the left, praising them. But you literally have Tim Walz, Ilhan Omar, and many more. This is not the only place this is happening. Many more that's letting all of this happen. Many more. They don't care about y'all. I keep on telling people, they do not care about it. I'm not speaking on the Somalians. I'm speaking on the left. That's what people not getting. These individuals getting that's $7,000 per person. And I don't know if it's just that one time or a month. Now, I'm pretty sure it is, but that is insane to me. And people aren't getting that. People need to wake up. wake up, realize what's going on. I'm telling y'all. Let's hear from President Trump.
Well, I think she's very bad for our country. All she does is complain, complain, complain. She comes out of a country where they have no government, they have no military, they have no police, they got no nothing. They don't have a country, and they run around killing each other. And then she comes over here. She tells the United States of America how it should be run. We don't want to hear from her. I don't want to hear from her. I don't want to speak for Emmer, but I don't think Emmer particularly wants to hear. But don't say it because I don't want to get you in trouble, okay? Just be nice and easy, all right? I'll do it for you, but that part I'll do. But I just want to say that there's nothing worse than a person that comes in and does nothing but bitch and comes from a place where she shouldn't be telling us what to do. She shouldn't be telling us. And everybody agrees with me. And what's happening in Minnesota with Somalia, where billions of dollars is being stolen, right, like candy from a baby, we're not going to let that go on. And it's too great a state to have that happening. And guys like Tom Emmer and others, Pete Stauber, guys like them, they're going to stop it. And they're going to be given the authority to stop it. Because this country's not going to put up with it anymore.
Exactly. Not going to put up with it anymore. Everybody is seeing it each and every day of what they're doing and how they're doing it. And I mean, there are a lot of Americans that's pretty mad. There are a lot of people in Minnesota that is mad. Residents. I've seen videos of residents like, yeah, they're doing this, they're doing that. They're making way more than we making. They riding around in new Porsche cars and new iPhones and this, that, and the other. They getting housing instant. This instantly. It's instantly. This don't take a process. It's instant. I'm telling y'all, definitely insane. Make sure y'all hit the like button, hit that subscribe button. Let me know your comments, thoughts down below. Catch y'all next one.